This is a HeadGum podcast.
I would like to begin with a poem by the mother of Black Hollywood, Jenifer Lewis. Ode to the men. There was Hunky Butch, Nasty Bruce, and Silky Sexy Lanier, the Ethiopian in Boston who had to put it in my ear.
James had a tongue as long as the Nile. John was high yellow with the sexiest smile.
Lanier was my first at the tender age of 13. Caught him with Phyllis. That sad Halloween.
Dexter was my army boy. We did it on 2 chairs. Keep it down, fool. My mama's upstairs.
There was Jesse, Jeffrey, Jimmy, and a dancer named Little Joe who laid me down, flipped me over, but didn't dent my fro.
Gary pulled my hair and had me in the closet. Maurice served up a beer can. No return, no deposit.
The businessman, the boxer, and the one in the sauna. I beckoned him with my titties. Come here, baby. You wanna?
On top of the Empire State Building? Yes, even up there. Was anybody watching? Chop, please. I don't care. Don Roan, Tyrell, and I remember Rocky smoked a pipe. But it was Perry. Ooh, Perry. Ooh, Perry was just ripe.
Back then, I didn't know my body was a temple. How precious and fragile we are. I was blind, crippled, and crazy, desperate to be a star.
Oh, but I got up somehow and scrubbed most of it away. Left a little funk on me, so I'd be stronger on this day.
No shtick, still love dick.
Who's that knocking at the door? It's all your friends, you filthy whore. Your husband's gone and we've got books and a bottle of wine to kill.
It's Hollywood.
It's books.
It's gossip.
I'm shook.
It's memoirs.
It's martinis.
It's Studio 54.
It's Celebrity Book Club. Come read it while it's hot. Celebrity Book Club. Tell your secrets, we won't talk. Celebrity Book Club. No boys are allowed. Celebrity Book Club. Say it loud and proud. Celebrity Book Club. Buzz me in, I brought the Cuervo.
Hey,
best friend. I'm Stephen.
I'm Lily Murata.
And this is Celebrity Book Club.
Welcome.
Welcome. We've had a crazy run of 4 episodes, and here we are on number 5, where we will be talking about the one, the only
Jenifer Lewis. Her book is titled The Mother of Black Hollywood.
Now, you may have heard a snippet of a poem just before this.
Seconds before
One of the greatest theme songs ever written in this goddamn town.
Who wrote that? Mark Shaman?
It was actually Terry Daniels, one of the best choreographers, and we did lose him to AIDS in 1984.
R.I.P. Well, so that poem she writes for this book. Who knows? Actually, maybe no. I think she wrote it for. She just wrote it years ago.
Yeah, she was a journal keeper, and I do want to talk about why women keep journals. It's a very interesting question. Men, they don't journal.
Well, some men do journal.
Very few.
Yeah.
But she, Jenifer Lewis, the mother of Black Hollywood, the writer of this memoir, does write this poem, an ode to Dick.
And I would say a lot of this book is an ode to Dick and her relationship to Dick.
Right. I think what's interesting about sort of the structure of this book, for all my sort of lit heads out there, is it's sort of, I want to say, in medias res, is that the correct term? Where it sort of starts out in the middle of her career, and then we go back and we sort of see her success, right? And we go through, she was a Broadway star for many decades,
a cabaret star. She really is, she's someone that's been in everything. She's been in Girlfriends. She's, of course, one of the stars of Blackish. She's been in The Preacher's Wife, you know?
I do want to back it up for a second, because it's like, I would say, I feel like most, certainly white people, probably don't know
her name. Yeah.
They don't know the name, but
they know her.
Probably recognize the face, because she's been in so many things. And I would say probably, recently, obviously, she's been on Blackish for 5 or 6 seasons now.
Yeah. And she plays, of course, Anthony Anderson's mother.
And, of course, the title of the book, The Mother of Black Hollywood, is a reference to the fact that she is often cast as the mother.
And that kind of really started. Here's a big Oscar-winning film. She plays Tina Turner's mother in the Tina Turner biopic.
Which I have not seen.
Super sad film. I watched it the day my father passed.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like, let's turn on a sad but inspiring film.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you had a good cry?
Well, I did, but it kind of distracted me because Tina Turner gets like raped so many times by Ike Turner. So it's actually good sometimes when a tragedy happens to
sort of check your priv and say, actually, some people have had it worse.
It's very like SJP's Grub Street, where she goes on and on about Matthew Broderick's like complicated bean recipes and his bolognese. And then she's like, and by the way, I just want you to know, I actually have been watching the news and I do see that there's like a lot of lines for like shelters and food in Texas. And so I just want you to know I am grateful.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah. And she's just like, is that girl that's like, no. Here's the thing. Like, I'm getting a bagel in the West Village, but like, I actually feel really bad about homelessness.
Just being like, and I do admit that I realize that I am eating, but that there are people who are starving.
So basically, watching Tina Turner get raped day my father passed is kind of, that's my, Yeah, let's put things into perspective.
Point of privilege. I was not raped by Ike Turner. Quote Lily Murata.
Anyway, so Jenifer Lewis is iconic, and this whole book, honestly, is really about how she is this actress that you may know the face of, but you don't necessarily know her name.
Yeah, she has this like sort of long and storied career, and it's interesting because, there's I think a recurring theme in the book is her being like, why didn't I like really ever make it like bigger than I am? Because she had this very New York career where you do cabaret shows, which are kind of a thing of the past in some sense, although
she kind of like, well, it's funny because I feel like lately in the comedy scene,
there's a lot of
just
cabaret.
Like the NYU girl like musical comedy thing has come back,
right?
And it was like dead for a long time, but I feel like Jenifer Lewis was really in that era of like Joan Rivers, her like playing at Duplex, doing one-woman shows written by your gay friend on a piano.
Literally written by your gay friend on a piano. And, the whole point of a cabaret show is that you are sort of the triple threat diva, right? So you do the high kicks, you sing, honey, you wear wigs, you tell jokes, you do banter.
You're doing crowd work.
It's about your personality, and you're putting it all on the line, and people just eat it right up. And it's always a bawdy woman who's not afraid to talk about sexuality.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this was... When I read this, I was just like, hell yes, we are reading about an older woman having sex.
Yes.
And we need to,
a lot...
Well, she's talking about the past.
A lot of the sex she has happened in her 20s. So
okay, yeah, but she has sex later on. You know what I mean? Like,
no, absolutely. But it is a memoir, so it's kind of not
No,
like...
I get it. Yeah, she's kind of talking about past sex. Past stuff. Yeah.
I think a hurdle in her career that is, I think, even more true today than it even was in the 80s when she was like having her big moment as a New York cabaret person, was like, you kind of actually do have to be a bit more boring and a bit less to get bigger roles and to be a leading lady and to be like, have a lead role in a show and stuff. And like, obviously there's a lot of like racism and sexism that goes into her being typecast, which is like how Hollywood works anyway. But I do think that, if you are a big, loud triple threat, you're much less likely to be like, oh, we're going to put you as the lead in a rom-com. Oh, we're going to put you in an action movie.
Right, exactly. She's like a total, the mother, the best friend.
And she does kind of always play the exact same character in every single thing she did, which is this like diva mom.
Full diva mom, yeah. And her mother was, I think, quite the character. And so I think, beyond quite the character, it's just like her mom, of course, had like 7 kids and was like working so hard to like, take care of them, but also like fully denied when she got molested by a pastor. And so it's like there's a lot of...
Because the mom, was seeking the pastor's approval herself. This is in a small town, a very impoverished town. The pastor was, the sort of star of the town. And for
it's like everything is the church. Well, also, so she's from Kinloch, which I learned, learning not my history.
Your history?
My personal history. So Kinloch was the first all-black governed town in America.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it's super fucked up because then St. Louis bought out the town to create more like parking lots for the airport.
Yeah, they sold it for parts.
Yeah.
No, it was a really, she speaks, quite, illuminatingly, quite descriptively of growing up in, real like destitute poverty in this town.
And they're like living in the basement of the church. So it's like no wonder.
In a bucket.
This mom is like, we need to stay on the side of the pastor.
Okay, but the part about how all her siblings have to shit in the same bucket.
That was...
And she
has to wash it and dump it out.
Well, but she was always being so like youngest spoiled child, being like, I'm never emptying the bucket.
I thought she did have to empty the bucket, and then she didn't. Her mom like
No,
got
but then
so
she
mad at
says
her.
that all her siblings were always just like, Jennifer, you never empty the bucket. And she was just like, sorry, I'm too fabulous.
Which is very a plot point in her amazing Lifetime film, which we'll get to. Jackie's back.
Yeah.
But back to her careers, I think she really expected that what happened to Whoopi was going to happen to her.
Yeah.
So Whoopi's career was like, Whoopi was doing one-woman shows and like a producer, found her and then, Broadway.
But here's the thing about Whoopi is Whoopi was not being the triple threat that
No,
Jenifer
she
Lewis would be.
doesn't like sing.
Whoopi doesn't sing, Whoopi is more easily put into, you could see Whoopi as like more subdued. Also, Whoopi has like insane lesbian vibes. And so you're like, oh, Whoopi will be the sort of sage,
sassy,
masculine character.
but like really sarcastic and dry.
Wait, have you seen the movie where Whoopi pretends to be a white man on Wall Street?
Literally, okay.
That
Whoopi
movie's-
was a huge part of my childhood.
Right.
So that movie,
Did she make you gay?
I think her and Rosie,
Yeah.
because my mom, shout out to HUD Express, awesome video store that I went to. But, I remember watching her early special where she talks about like giving herself an abortion. And that was kind of canonic for me. But the movie where it's called like it's not called Wall Street. What is it? Where it's like she's in finance and realizes like no one's ever gonna like treat her like they treat a white man.
You know what? I do have to say, it's not called. I love the genre of late 80s movies where people are pretending to be someone they're not. Like, it's very Don't Tell Mom, The Babysitter's Dead. There's a Michael J. Fox movie where he, like, also pretends to be a businessman called The Secret to My Success. And this Whoopi Goldberg movie is, like...
Freaky Friday. And then, the other Whoopi movie that was huge for me was Eddie, which is where she, like, shoots half court from the Knicks and it's very blank check and she gets, like, all this money.
Oh, just like in like a weird sweepstakes?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I forgot the rest of the plot. But anyway, I really relate a lot with Jenifer Lewis here. And I think it's like this very comedian feeling. You're like, it's never enough. You always want more validation.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, honey. You get the adulation of the crowd, and then how do you keep it going? Liquor
and sex and men.
So this book is mostly, I would say like 60% of this book is her listing Broadway stars I've never heard of. Just being like, and in walks Eugenia Boone. And you're just like, who is Eugenia Boone? And
it's fun. Also, I feel like I was comparing a lot to Janice, where it's kind of the same era, but it's just so much more this different gay theater, Midtown vibe. It's just so, I was like, you're just being so NYU right now. Like the part where she's like, ugh, me and the man. She keeps on calling this guy the love of her life.
This random guy. I also, okay.
And I don't really believe he is the love of her life.
What I love about her is like, she does sleep with absolutely, completely random men. Like every guy is just like, his name was Tim and he had the biggest tool I'd ever seen. And it's just like, there's no, like once she like dates her stage manager for a while, but like most people are just like.
And everyone's like, don't shit where you eat. But most people are just like, yeah, it's
guys
random
at
guys.
Bars. And that's why she is this absolute insane fag hag. She also references being a fag hag a lot, and like her best friends are all these gay guys who like either died or somehow
I want to talk
survived.
about some of her also. I looked them up. They're all iconic.
All her fag hag?
So,
or all fag, sorry.
Yeah, so some of her best friends, Mark Heyman, he literally executive produced Girlfriends.
Wow.
Wrote for Girlfriends.
Wow.
Who Jenifer Lewis was later on playing Tony's mom. Bob, write it down. It's like Bob Korsher or something like that. This was what I was going to ask you. You tweeted yesterday about watching the movie Catch Me If You Can.
So I did watch that on Friday.
Was that related? Because I found some Catch Me If You Can. This is not... Okay.
No. It was just on, and I said to myself, I was sitting there, choosing the movie. I said, what if I just fucking watch? Okay, well, because I really had this new resolution for the New Year's that I made up the other day.
To watch more movies?
No, which was decide faster.
Ooh.
So instead of like spending so much time like scrolling through, like, oh, do I want to watch a TV show? Just being like, just fucking pull the trigger. And I also did buy a floor lamp the other day.
Hell yes.
Thank you. After days of like sort of like hemming and maybe weeks of hemming and hawing, I actually just sort of like pulled the trigger on this particular lamp. It's a white sort of plasticky lamp from allmodern.com, and it has a large shade because I wanted the sort of diffusion of light that comes from a shade.
Is it kind of modeled after my iconic white lamp, or is it a little bit different?
Listen, I looked up lamps that are similar to your iconic lamp that's like that.
I found this absolutely gorgeous lamp at a garage sale this summer, $20.
You know who loves antiquing is Jenifer Lewis. She talks about going antiquing with
Yes.
Whoopi
Ugh,
when
to
she finally
die.
buys her first house.
And then Whoopi actually buys her a couch, which, okay, Whoopi buying her couch, I feel like they kind of have a similar relationship to us a little bit. Sometimes,
Where
though,
Whoopi is the me.
Whoopi, okay, personality-wise, I think I'm the Whoopi and you're the Jenifer Lewis, but money-wise, I kind of think you're the Whoopi and
right.
I'm the Jenifer Lewis.
Right.
So Whoopi, one, gets her a couch when she finally buys her new home, and she's just like, here's a couch.
And can we just sort of say definitively right now, so we don't have
Whoopi's
to cover
lesbian?
this? Asexual.
Oh, yeah. No, I think she's ace because they talk about her wedding. I mean, here's the thing about Whoopi. She's been married to Ted Danson. She's been married multiple times. She's the most lesbian person, but like she just would be out if she was gay because she's like doesn't give a fuck.
She's very outspoken.
And like her, I mean, just like everything about her. I just think she's ace or is kind of Janine in this way where Janine was with men and then was just like, I'm actually done with sex.
Because she's like, but Janine's just so 90s and alt that she's just kind of like, if the men aren't just like...
I think Janine still has like a partner.
Right.
Like a male partner.
Right. But she kind of just like can't date the modern man.
But back to Jenifer Lewis, because there's the scene where basically this Jenifer Lewis, you know, she's on to her next man and she wants him out of her house.
Right.
You know, he's no good. And she walks into Whoopi's trailer and there's $2,000 there. And in fabulous Jenifer Lewis fashion, she's just like, why are you leaving $2,000 there? I'm going to steal it. Which I felt was very, and she was like, that's for you. Like, move out. Like, I'm just giving you this $2K, like, kick the guy out or you move out.
Oh, wait,
and just
I thought
move
the
on.
$2K was to give to the guy so that he leaves.
I think it was so Jenifer Lewis can leave, and then that's when she bought her house, and maybe Whoopi also got her a couch. I don't know the order, but Whoopi also wrote fuck. She says Whoopi wrote fuck you on the roof of her house. So the paparazzi.
Yeah, that was interesting. I'm curious to know how she wrote it. Like, was it paint or was it some
Spray paint? Was it so cups?
Yeah, I was thinking cups.
Very, very 90s.
Are cups so 90s?
It's so 90s movie, like a car going away with cups when you get married.
Okay, well, that's just normal marriage stuff.
Well, do they do that anymore? I don't know. I haven't seen it recently.
In the pandemic?
Just circle back to Catch Me If You Can. It's Mark Alton Brown is her, like, gay who she lives with.
Okay.
Who ends up being an exec producer of Girlfriends. And then Mark Shaman wrote the score and music to Catch Me If You Can, the musical.
Oh.
Full circle.
Okay, random.
So I was like, are you going so deep and like watching her best friends? And he wrote like a lot of the music to some of her fabulous one-woman shows.
I have to say though, how many, I feel like there's probably just a handful of like white midtown gays who kind of just like are vamping on the piano for just like everyone's one-woman show and are writing the like themes for like every random like musical, and they're kind of just like, maybe there's just not that many.
Sure, I guess you're not like, you don't think that's like such like kind of crazy fate? That you watch Catch Me, and then one of Jenifer Lewis's friends wrote the music.
I guess I'm saying I don't think it's that spooky, and I don't have chills, and like check my goosebumps, they're not really there.
Wow. Okay. Like when I figured that out, I was literally like full chills. He also wrote the score to First Wives Club, whatever, and a lot of.
That's what I'm saying. He's very prolific.
No, he's written a lot of stuff.
Gay people, they work.
No, I do think also there's a handful of gays because, again, very sadly, like this book is very AIDS epidemic where it's just like, yeah, like all of your friends died.
So dark. I mean, okay, so as a feast of writing, this book is very she really kind of rolls through things quickly. Like, she doesn't spend a lot of time dwelling on episodes.
Like, she's very dramatic diva in this way, where, like, there'll be a page where she's like, I got a call from Beverly. She told me that David had died. I was on the floor, darling. They couldn't pick me up. And then next page, you will just be like, so then this tour started. And I was cast in, like, a different world.
Right. And then Bette Midler walked in and she said, honey, you've got it. Not many people do.
What Jenifer Lewis really is, I think, again, I feel like her career I kind of aspire to, I don't, like, sing, is that she feels very, like, an actor's actor, a comic's comic. You know, everyone in the industry loves her.
I do think that that people have a way of talking to Jenifer Lewis, and when they say you're the best in the business, like you should be the biggest star in the world, they're kind of saying it in this way because they know
she won't.
She
Yeah,
won't
it's
be.
sad.
It's like there's a weird condescendingness to it where people kind of realize they're like, you actually are too much, and you are a little bit too like needy of the spotlight, and you're too like overacting, you're too like you're
Okay,
too
well, this
fabulous, and
reminds
that's why
me-
you won't get cast in like a more variety of roles. The scene where she comes into Bette's dressing room after the show, and she's like, I was hamming it up, and I was like, she's like doing this song and dance in front of Bette, like just in the dressing room, just like, cracking lots of jokes and being really performative. And Bette goes, why are you performing? And then Jenifer goes, well, you just performed. And then Bette goes, yeah, but honey, I got paid.
Oh, God.
And she goes, that sucked. And like, ooh, that line cut me deep.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Didn't
Sometimes
you see yourself in that?
Yes, because sometimes I feel like
when you're
in
there
the
and you're
green
hamming
room,
it up. I mean, I feel like this when I do this now, this weird like weekly Zoom that I'm in, where I watch Drag Race with these like
with
academic
the snake lesbian,
with the snake lesbian and these like academic Boston gays that like Eric is friends with, and now I'm just like watching Zoom or watching like Drag Race over Zoom, and I feel like during every commercial, it's this like becomes this comedy show where I'm like hamming it up and like telling all these like jokes about what the Queens just did, and then I'm like, why am I performing over Zoom like in my living room?
No, or I feel forced maybe in just like a weird situation where like no one is talking, and then you're like, okay, well, like I'm the clown here, so let me gesture it up, and it's like no one fucking else is gesture up, so why am I spending all this energy?
Right.
Honk honk,
And
here
it's
are
like,
my puppets.
You know who's not probably clowning it up in those situations? Gabrielle Union. Michelle Williams. I'm just talking about like people who get like leading roles.
Michelle Williams is absolutely Nicole Kidman.
Right. No, Nicole Kidman is not even
You know
moving
who
her
is?
face.
You know who is? Emma Stone, I think.
First of all, we met Emma Stone at that SNL after party.
Oh yeah,
and
she was
not
very just
hamming it up.
Okay, so not Emma Stone.
She was being normal AF. I was like, your name is literally Katie, and you're like,
Yeah,
I don't
no,
know.
you're
like,
NYU,
you went,
like-
you went to NYU, like you're
with
5'6".
the most NYU part. There's so many NYU parts, but when Jenifer Lewis is talking about how much she loves mamoons
Oh my
on
God.
McDougal, and
No.
she's like, best falafels, am I right?
And she was like, and we go to McDougal, and Miguel would get this falafel, and we ate there, and we eat the whole thing sitting right there in the street. And then one time he saw the chef smoking, and he threw out the falafel.
You know what this made me think of is just so how like, hello, like girls love like the rudest men, because it's like she keeps on saying Miguel's the love for life.
Yeah.
And she dates a bunch of other nicer guys, and it's just like clearly this guy was like probably the biggest asshole of them, and is like blowing up because like one guy is smoking near his food,
Yeah.
and just like that raw energy.
I mean, nice guys finish last.
So, and then he passed away after a chess game, which was very Queen's Gambit.
That was so random. And it's just like, he would just always go to Washington Park. And, well, I love that she was like, so they would go to Washington Park. He would play chess with the guys at the tables. And she was like, but chess is too boring for me to watch the whole
Yeah.
game. So I would wander off and talk to the bums and the
Yeah.
vagrants, darling. And she would just like, mosey around the park.
I mean, literally write a book about New York in the 80s and like don't mention Thompson Square Park for it's
Well, it was actually Washington Square Park.
Oh, Washington Square Park. Okay,
Yeah.
Broad
So
City
actually,
stuff.
I went on my own.
Oh,
That's
awesome.
Yeah, it was actually like, well, no, I mean, that's why, like, let's just say, like, I didn't go to college. I went to NYU because, like, basically, like, it's like not like a college campus. It's like you're literally in New York City.
For my Chi-Town heads out there, it's like I should start talking about Millennium Park, which is across from my college,
Which is literally sponsored by like
Coke.
ExxonMobil.
And just being like, ugh, everyone was at the Bean. Patti Smith, Ariel Pink. We were all taking selfies with our small Blackberries in the Bean.
And they were low res, but honey, we
God.
didn't care.
We uploaded them to Facebook, 20 picture albums.
Mobile uploads. Anyone remember? Okay, one thing about this book is when you're reading it, you're just like, was this written in the 20s?
No,
Because the way she's so Broadway, and then she'll just be like, and so we're walking down the street, and Fat Jackie, the town prostitute, rolled up in her white Cadillac.
Fat Jack. Okay,
Fat Jackie, the town prostitute.
This
That
is
was
the best
insane.
story. So Fat Jackie's the town prostitute, as we said, and she's skipping school with her friend. And she's like, "Gals, get in." So they get in Fat Jackie's Cadillac, and she's just like,
Well, because she's nervous because she thinks that Fat Jackie's going to like report her to her mom for skipping school.
But instead, Fat Jackie's like, "You fucking yet?"
As in, like, are you guys having sex yet? Have
Yeah.
Well, she doesn't mean are the two
Oh,
friends.
they fuck. Yeah, I didn't assume that. Like, that'd be cool though. She was like, "Hey, are you guys fucking?" And they're like, "No." And so she gives them a life lesson, which is before you make love to a man, always check the meat.
Check
Check
the
the
meat.
meat.
Okay, we're going to do 20 minutes on this because
Yeah,
I have a
there's a
lot
lot.
to say.
So, and she says, sometimes even you gotta pull out a flashlight if you want to check the meat.
So Jenifer Lewis is, so obviously, so check the meat means like see what
The
they're
dick
packing,
size,
see the
yeah.
dick size. And what I love about this book is she describes like pretty much everyone's dick size.
Yeah.
Like Janice Dickinson, only one time did she mention that Liam Neeson has an Evian bottle. There are dicks that are, quote, garden gnomes. There are
Oh, yeah, God. What's also amazing is I feel like
there are dicks that are beer cans.
she gets to really go off because they are every Tom, Dick, and Harry. So she's not talking about Jack Nicholson.
No, and she's like, they're like random guys. She'll be like, this guy, but sometimes she'll just be like, she'll say their full name. She'll be like, choreographer Ed Love had a baby carrot,
Yeah.
and you're like, damn, girl, really drag him.
There was the guy who had a garden gnome, which was a very small dick, and so she said,
no.
"Don't put that in me. Put it in my ear."
Okay, first of all,
We need to talk about what? No, am I wrong? Oh, garden gnome means huge. Okay, see, I mean. This is our again fourth episode of just like me talking about dick for like 40 minutes, and again
Okay, so a garden gnome is like a large object in a human's garden.
I guess because I'm like super big when I'm in a garden, I think of garden gnomes.
You're like, I
as
don't know, it's
fucking small.
It's a fucking tiny ass shit. Like, I'm not a fucking gnome, like living in a fucking little.
Yeah, I'm talking about like, yeah, if there was a garden figurine.
So a garden, because a gnome has that kind of pointy hat, so there's a phallicness to
So
the
I've been
object
shocked.
itself.
A garden gnome is huge.
Garden gnome is huge. That guy has a huge dick. The guy who's so small that she says, honey, you can't even put that in my ear.
No, she tells him to fuck her ear.
No, she says, you can't even put that in my ear.
I read that as fuck me in the ear. And I've read this book twice now. This is very my reading style where I just choose what I want to read.
Choose what you want to say. It's also similar to your texting style, which even your close friends sometimes like literally cannot decipher.
And I'm just like, and I took away from this book, I'm just like, I can't wait till Steven gets to the part where she gets fucked in the ear.
She says, honey, you can't even fuck me in the ear. And then she makes up an excuse and tells him to leave, which is truly, okay, that part was insane. And so this, and let me just like talk about sort of checking the size for a second. So this is something that
Before you get to that, I want to give her method, and I want to know if you do this. Her kind of main like way of like checking the meat is to have a bath first.
Insane.
So,
well, because the thing, she's always on tour, so she brings the guy back to her hotel, the Carlisle, darling, and then she draws a bath, and they like get in the bath together.
and it's like, okay, so you're gonna take this bath, and then if you see the meat and it's not, what you think, are you like, all right, here's a towel, babe, get out of here?
Well, yeah, and then that one time she says, I faked a headache and told the Ethiopian guy with the baby carrot to leave,
Yeah.
the guy who couldn't fuck her in the ear.
So have you ever done the bath?
Absolutely not. As you know, I'm
No.
like vigorously anti-bath. I hate bath.
That just seems like you're adding so much more time.
Well, it's also just like, okay, if you're bringing them all the way home, like, so this is where I
Draw the line.
Well, no, it's like if I'm already bringing a guy home, I'm gonna force myself to go through with it, no matter how full of regret I am.
Well, because that's to tell someone to leave once they're already in your apartment, it's
So
impossible.
awkward. Although
And-
people have told me that. Okay, I remember this one time, and it was like 2008. It was like, honestly, like one of the first, like Grindr had just been invented, and it was like the first time I ever opened it. And
the revolution had begun.
the revolution had begun. I was on my iPhone 2. I was on a fucking iPod, sweetheart. And I was talking to this guy, and he was like, this is in New York City. And he was like, come over. And I was like with a friend, and she was like, do it. And I was like, I want to do it. So I go over to this apartment. It was in Astor Place or like / Washington Square Park area.
Near Mamoons.
Near Mamoons. It was like this high rise that was like very fancy. I go to just like the 16th floor and the door opens and there's like marble everywhere. I start to walk in. The guy is like tall and kind of looks like his picture is normal. Mind you, I'm literally 22. So like I'm this,
young thing.
I'm a tiny young thing. It should be illegal to fuck me, but I'm obviously this like perfect little, peach package. And
perfect little Marc Jacobs.
Tiny little Marc Jacobs.
Acne scars
twink.
have just healed. Flat ass, ready to fuck.
They honestly were probably sort of deeper than they are now because I just did start tretinoin. The sort of prescriptions like retinol.
Yeah, should I do that? We'll get to that later.
We can talk about that later. But anyway, so I walk in and...
No one's ever told me to leave, by the way.
Out of the 7 people you've slept with?
Yeah.
So I walk into this like bemarbled apartment and I'm kind of like doing a lap weirdly, just being like, okay, I'm kind of looking, I'm waiting for like something to happen. And then he just turns to me and he goes, this isn't going to work.
Wow.
And I was like, huh? And I was actually like, I was like, and he was like, sorry. And I was like, oh, he's literally telling me to leave.
Wow.
I was so like shocked. I was like, I wasn't even offended. I was just like, well, this is hilarious. I think on some level I didn't even want to go through with it because it was so early in my sexual career and I was actually really afraid.
You didn't even want to.
No, I didn't.
No, you didn't want to.
No.
It was an excuse for both of you. No, and I didn't mean it. That was just a joke when I said no one's ever asked me to leave. I don't have the numbers to compare to you, so the ratio doesn't kind of match up.
Well, I just think...
Maybe it was an energy.
It was my looks. No, I'm not sure. I listen, I've never been someone who lies on the profile, okay? I always...
No, I feel like your pics probably say what's going on.
I'm an honest person. I will link to my Instagram and my Grindr profile so people can come. They can see videos so they can really see like what I look like so they're not going to be like, oh, this guy...
Here's the thing, though. I think this fucking Asta place...
Yeah.
Freaking high-rise living, telling my guy to leave? I think this guy's just on a power trip. I bet he does that all the time to fuck with guys.
Huh.
I feel like he's just there just like being so pinky in the brain and is just being like, not for me tonight. I want sushi.
I mean, okay, also in my mind, he was like 35 and I do have this disease
He
where
was just like 26.
Well, I think everyone's older than me. Like, to this day, I
Same.
think everyone is older than me. Like, I'll work at an office, like, as a copywriter at, like, a major branding agency with huge clients. and people will be, like, 26 and I'm 31, and I just assume that everyone is 40 because I'm like, well, you have an office job. And it's like, well, I'm also at an office. But I just assume that, like, everyone is this, like, grown-up. But it's like, this guy, in my mind, I was like, oh, okay, so he's like old and rich and has this big apartment, and I guess he didn't want someone so like, I think like wet behind the ears. Like that's how I interpret it as. I was like, I was too nubile.
Totally. That's what I'm saying. Maybe he sensed your fear. Like a dog.
But maybe really deep in a darker way, it spoke to my biggest insecurities. Like, oh, I have too big of a head because I was born a month premature. I have a receding hairline. My nose is too big. My ears aren't big enough. My gums are too gummy, etc.
Well, this brought me to kind of one of my points where when she talks about going to therapy, you and I have both experienced different bouts of therapy. It kind of made me think of you because a lot of therapists rejected her. As you've been telling me, a lot of therapists have not been returning your phone calls. And I was like, and it's like she's going in there and sitting on the couch and just being so like sobbing and just being like, and that was Kinloch, honey. And then this happened to me with Bette Midler, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, by the end, the therapist, like hairs were standing on the back of her head. And I feel like you are just like going in and you're just being like, and this is the fucking thing about my career. There's like fucking blah, 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 I should have in my column and blah, blah, blah. And they're just kind of like, you know what? I don't need this.
No, it's literally true. I'm waltzing in just being like, New York Magazine has a fatwa against me. And they're just like, I'm sorry, I don't care. You're a random faggot. Like, you actually have work to do that I can't help you with. And I have been rejected by a lot of therapists. But that's also actually, and they should all go to jail because that's malpractice, I think.
I wanted to read this passage from the therapy. One moment here. Okay. Page 169. Fuck yeah. So again, this also made me think of you because She's talking about getting massages.
Oh, this made me think of me also.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, are you going to the part where she gets the massage in Egypt?
Yeah, basically, like...
Wait, okay, and this also is me because I've been to Egypt.
But she calls, her therapist is basically trying to get her to work on her sex addiction. And she calls her therapist at 3 a.m., which is insane. Clearly, also, like, this therapist is on a payroll. The fact that she's picking up at 3.
She's on retainer for sure.
Yeah, and she just goes, I want to fuck this beautiful Egyptian man. And the therapist goes, no, Jenifer. And she goes, fuck you. And then she hangs up, but she doesn't fuck the guy.
Yeah. She doesn't call him for like a second massage that she hopes will end up in sex.
But I was thinking about it's like you're not like calling your therapist every time you get like a happy ending of the Turkish bath, just being like, I'm about to get jerked off by this man at the Turkish bath. Like it's just kind of happening for you. I mean, totally different for Jenifer Lewis because I think it was a conquest. She was trying to fill something there.
Yeah. I mean, I think she's also like thinking that this is more like she wanted to fuck the massage therapist separate from the massage.
Yes,
do you know what I'm saying? Which
right,
is different than this is different than the massage becoming erotic through the process of the journey of the massage, which is what happens to me. I'm not all the time, but sometimes, the masseur will be so turned on seeing my lifeless body on the table face down that, he can't help himself, but, sort of up the ante a little bit. And then it, maybe results in something sexual.
Here's a little passage from one of her therapy sessions, which it's very Good Will Hunting in this way. And after I saw Good Will Hunting, it was kind of how I wanted to act in therapy. Rachel dropped a bomb on me. Tell me about your mother. Seeing red, I lunged off the couch into Rachel's face, yelling through clenched teeth and pounding my chest. I came here to talk about my career. Don't you ever mention my mother. It's like, that's a fabulous therapy session.
Yeah.
And I feel like watching Good Will Hunting, it was so like, I had such a fantasy of like wanting to go in a therapy session and them just being like, trying to get to the heart of it, and me just being like, can't fucking talk about that.
Right.
When I was 10.
Because there's such a badass masculinity to being like, fuck you, I won't talk about my parents.
I was forced into this therapy. The closest it came is, again, I was put into child analysis for gender dysmorphia at age 4, is my therapist really wanted to get me to say that I was jealous of my sister because she got all the lead roles at the musicals at our Unitarian church. And she was like, just tell me, Lily, you're jealous. And it was very Jenifer Lewis. She's like, just tell me, you're jealous of Gia getting like, this lead role in Oklahoma and this lead role in Fiddler on a Roof. And I swore, I was like, fuck you. I don't ever want to talk about this again. I'm not jealous of my sister getting the lead role in those musicals. And I really don't.
I just want to stop you right there because you bring up this anecdote so much to the extent that I feel like you are jealous.
Maybe I love the anecdote. It's like I didn't want to be the lead role in musicals, but maybe clearly.
Right, because you don't think you have a beautiful voice, and let's talk about that.
No, that haunts me every day.
Yeah.
I would love to have a singing voice. Like, it's not even passable, It's so bad.
Here's the thing, though. It's like, does Bob Dylan have a beautiful voice?
Well, but it's not. I can't even do, like, I wish I could even do kind of, like, random indie guy, gravelly, like, talking while playing guitar voice.
You could do that. Anyone can do that.
I have the tone, I need voice lessons.
But literally anyone can do gravelly talking while guitar.
I just feel like my tone is off.
A fucking rabbit could do gravelly talking while playing guitar.
Hop. I don't know if I can.
I think that's actually just like a fear that you need to work out.
Along with back to Jenifer Lewis, kind of just back to her relationship with her mom. So she finally tells her mom that, it was fucked up how she denied getting molested by this pastor. And the mom, like, still won't hear her years later. And I feel like I watched Jenifer Lewis in this episode of Girlfriends where she plays Tony's mom, and Tony takes Jenifer Lewis's character, for your girlfriends heads out there, to therapy. And Jenifer Lewis won't hear it. And I feel like Jenifer Lewis, maybe her whole career, is just trying to work out her issues with her mother by playing her mother, this like more fabulous version of her mother on screen. You weren't listening.
Sorry,
I could tell.
I didn't listen to a single word you just said. Sorry.
Literally so
Yeah.
rude. I listened to you go on and on. Here's the eighth story about me getting fucked in 2009. And I'm sitting there listening for the, the hours on my life I hear you talk about that stuff.
In some ways I am Jenifer Lewis, and I get that because it is very that when her friend's dying of AIDS and she's calling him and she's like, and I fucked this guy. And he's just like, I'm actually dying.
And you're like, Lily, like, how could you not remember, like, who, like, Ralph, Tom, Dick, and Harry was, like, in 2011 because I ran into him in a gallery show.
Can I say, you actually do remember every single person I've slept with, and it's iconic. And
thank you.
An elephant never forgets, and I really respect you for having a catalog of everyone in my sexual Rolodex. Segment boots. What does she wear? How does she live?
What does she eat?
What does she eat? What does she wear? How does she live?
Yep.
Okay. So, first of all, I want to talk about what she eats because do you remember the part of the book where she says, I'll always stop off in St. Louis for jack-fried salmon and spaghetti?
I don't remember that part, but St. Louis is like one of those cities where people talk about like the iconic foods from there, and you're always kind of like, what?
Yeah.
They're like, it's famous St. Louis pizza, but it's just pizza with like American cheese on it or
this
something.
This is not to be a coastal elite, but like all food that's not from the coast is disgusting.
Okay, Steven. I absolutely gonna call you in there. Like, have you heard of barbecue?
Okay, but
St. Louis barbecue, darling.
Okay.
I'm calling you in.
That's the South, though. I guess I'm not.
No,
okay.
St. Louis, Kansas City
But
ribs.
I feel but that's just like the South bleeding into Kansas City. Like that's not a mid. I just feel like Midwest is gross for food.
Chicago hot dogs. Chicago has one of the most amazing gastronomy scenes.
I mean, but all Chicago food is like big and puffy and gross, and you know that, and you know that's true, and you know Chicago pizza is gross. Okay, and you know that like Chicago burgers are like weird and overcooked. Like you know that all that shit is like.
I'm gonna stand for like one. Kuma's is delicious. Chicago hot dogs are the best type of hot dog you can get. Chicago restaurant scene is literally sometimes I would say miles above New York and what the modern things they're doing.
Okay, well, let's count the Michelin stars.
Okay, well, let's talk about Blackbird. Let's talk about, Aria.
In any event.
I just think, whatever, the evolution of barbecue, I just don't, dude, I'm going to say it. You don't really know about it, so.
Okay, well, first of all, I'm not going to like be fake and pretend to be a barbecue head and pretend to be like so just like white person who loves barbecue and like goes on a road trip and like I'm not like going to put myself in that position because that's not who I am.
Right.
Not the people who do that are wrong, but I'm just like, that's not my thing. But I love barbecue. Obviously, because it's delicious and like has savory and sweet, whatever.
I'm just saying, like, also like Wisconsin has like delicious food, like cheese. Anyway, I think you should. I'm calling you in.
Okay, Meghan
Cancel.
McCain. Meghan McCain, celebrate every state in the nation. We are beautiful. We are a patchwork. Okay, I will. Okay, so but when she described the jack fried salmon and spaghetti, I like my first thought was like, whoa, that's weird. But then I thought about it and I was like, well, in many ways, salmon pasta is one of the only dishes I even know how to make.
Yeah, so maybe check yourself. That's the thing. You're just being like, oh, the Midwest like doesn't know any food, but yet you're like making a random sandum pasta.
I guess I wonder what the specific jack fried salmon.
I feel like it is kind of this like crazy spiced fried salmon over pasta.
Which is probably good. I guess I worry about the spaghetti being overcooked and a little mushy. I do feel like the Midwest has a tendency to sort of put al dente.
I don't know. I mean, she goes when she's like, and darling, when I was on Blackish and like, da-da-da-da, like I was eating right. So I feel like she's being so 90s and it's light salmon pennies.
She's so 90s and she's like grilled chicken because she talks about how like, she also mentions multiple times how like costume designers would be just like, honey, if you gain weight, you'll never lose it. And then she's always being like, and I still look pretty good for my age, darling. But like this is another thing, and obviously this is like Hollywood being sexist and racist, etc., where it's like I think if she was 20 pounds thinner, then she would have like gotten more roles in Hollywood.
Yeah, maybe. But I also do think it's more of this thing of her actually being like such a body fabulous, like cabaret gay man.
Yes.
That's like more why she didn't totally get the roles.
But I think to be that body cabaret
you have
person,
to be like super
you do
thin.
have to be a little. No, but I think
But it's not like Bette is super thin. Bette Midler.
Okay, but here's what's interesting. Yes, Bette Midler. First of all, Bette Midler also has like a music career. Jenifer Lewis never recorded albums, which I feel like is kind of weird because she has an amazing voice.
Yeah. And she also was in all these women shows that were musical because I was looking. So in her, she makes
Like,
this,
she should have done albums. I feel like that could have been a whole other avenue for her
I mean, I
career.
think she wanted to. It's not that, she didn't get to lay down the tracks.
I guess I'm wondering why she didn't lay down the tracks because I feel like that could have been another.
I feel like, she met Nina Simone, she met Lena Horne, and
Right.
she was just like, I'm obsessed with you.
Right.
I think she was such on a track to be this
Yeah.
film star.
I think she wanted to be an actress so much that she was like,
She didn't lay down the tracks, and she
Yeah.
was also on such a Broadway thing, so it was all about being in the musical. And I think also if she was cast, there was a point in her career, I think she was cast in the Dreamgirls, but she was not. She was just in the rehearsals. I feel like that could have brought her to more of a
yeah.
recording career.
It's funny. So she was going to be cast in the role of Effie, which of course is played by Jennifer Hudson in the movie.
Film version.
The film version, which won J. Hud an Oscar, as we know. And she talks about how she couldn't, that's, I'm telling you I'm not going is this iconic, insane song where it's all about belting the longest notes and so hard. And she felt like that she couldn't totally do it justice.
And there's, I think when they called her and they were like, you don't have the Dreamgirls role. And she thought, I'm close to all these gay choreographers.
Right.
And it's something I've remembered, and maybe I'll remember it right now as I see you just kind of looking down, not listening to me again.
Okay.
Gay men, you think they're your best friend. But here's the thing. They'll run you over as you did
Yeah.
in sophomore year when you ran over my foot.
Okay. And it comes back to this. Listen, gay men are incredibly self-absorbed and...
It's kind of Margaret Cho has a famous joke,
No,
where-
it's the gay guy when he, you accompany him to the club and then he finds some guy he wants to go home with and then it's, you can get a ride, right?
Yeah.
And you can get
And
a
you
ride.
can't get a ride, and that's...
Okay.
And I have a ride, and I'll just be zooming on out of here.
Okay, so she eats grilled chicken, I guess.
She's
Moving
grilled chicken,
on.
but I think she's also, she indulges every now and then.
Okay, how does she live? I have a theory on this.
So she has a condo.
So she has a condo in Studio City, which I literally had predicted even before she got to that point where it was she obviously lives in Studio
It's
City.
a workout room.
Because Studio City, and I don't know if you know this now, because I don't have familiar with LA, but...
No, I've heard Studio City is getting super hot because it used to be kind of right for down and out actors with their rentals as they would, go to auditions.
Yeah, I mean, the Valley, as you know, my
I
entire
don't
family's
think-
from LA. And
Is Studio City really the Valley?
it really is.
Okay.
And I'm very familiar with the Valley because it's all my cheesy family is from there. We're always staying at the Radisson in the North Valley.
Well, this also brings me back to kind of your coastal elite thing, and this is why you are your mother, just being so angry about just some Midwestern food, and it's
But
kind
you
of...
don't know how bad the food is. It's when I meet up with my family, we're staying at the Summerfield Suites.
That's what I'm saying. This is where it comes from. Is
But the food is actually bad.
Yeah, you are from the Valley, so you are thinking of this nasty ass of
No,
Valley
literally the last time I was
pasta.
in the Valley, we were staying at the Summerfield Suites by Marriott, and then the nicest restaurant that we could go to was the Italian restaurant that was located within the Radisson, which we weren't even staying at, and we had to walk across the highway to go to this empty Italian restaurant at the Radisson to get the most just warmed over cream Alfredo whatever, and it was absolutely foul.
Oh, and that's your brunt.
And I have to bear that
No, you have to bear that.
because both sides of my family are just random and tacky.
And I'm
God
famously
bless them.
Italian, so al dente is in my blood.
The point is, so here's my theory on how she lives. So I think, she's very fabulous, darling.
She's fabulous. And I feel it's some Playbills
There's
framed.
definitely Playbills framed. So, but here, I think that she was very animal print.
Yeah.
Until, so I think she was very
Cheetah rug.
cheetah pillows, leopard sheets until 12 years ago when a gay came in and redecorated. And now it's all creams and burgundy pillows, but it's still very leather
I think she
tufted
still has
headboard.
the big... I think it's a bit
You
still
think
Bobby
You
trendy.
think there's still animal print?
I think there's still the big rug that's a cheetah with the arms out a little. And it's less, it's no more zebra, but it's a white couch,
Okay, and I also do think, which is kind of...
Well, she also like adopts, which we didn't really get into. She adopts a child like later on, and I feel like maybe around that time is probably when it got like she was like, I need to kid this up, and she changes that, maybe makes it a little more kid friendly, a little less cheetah pillows.
I think that she also has like one Buddha statue in the living room that was a gift from like the makeup artist on season 5 of Strong Medicine.
Yeah, it's like, and I think also
one of the best goddamn makeup artists in the business.
As we're learning, and reading, you come to think most female celebrities, there's gonna be a Buddha somewhere.
There's a Buddha, yeah.
So given it's white couch, it's Buddha. Unless they have like such an insane strong sense of style. There's a Buddha in there.
I'm running through my head right now of female celebrities and like trying to think of who doesn't have a Buddha. I actually can't. I'm just like Michelle Williams, like Buddha, Cameron Diaz, Sharon Stone, Buddha,
Sheryl
Buddha,
Crow,
Buddha, Sheryl Crow, Buddha. Like there's actually not a female celebrity.
Courtney Cox, no Buddha.
Wow, I would think that Courtney Cox is so Buddha.
I feel like maybe Cheryl gave Courtney Cox a Buddha.
Oh, and it's kind of like in her shed
side.
or it's to the side.
Because I think the Courtney Cox
like
is a little
Jennifer
more plain.
Aniston,
oh,
Buddha. Like she's pizza oven. She's so Buddha.
It's the Buddha as a pizza oven.
I'm just like it is just something that if you have ever done yoga like once and you're a rich celebrity,
well, especially
you're
because
just
Jenifer Lewis gets very spiritual, where she starts going to like she takes back her Christianity and she starts going to a non-denominational.
Okay.
Look, just to close up on this book, I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah, it's really insane. I think it definitely is like a quick read. Like it's like she sort of rolls through shit, and it's fun. So you could probably.
I read this one. We talk about a beach read. I literally read this on the beach this summer.
You could slam this on a beach.
You're kicking back a White Claw. This is a laugh out loud. Watch Jackie's Back on YouTube.
And she talks about dick size, and she's really open about it. So I think that if you're curious,
as we've said, we're like, this book is mostly about dick size. And Broadway, and that's
a refreshing honesty that you don't see in a lot of in a lot of writers.
Yeah, you really don't see it.
No, not anymore.
Yeah, and watch her on Girlfriends, watch her on Blackish, watch her in The Preacher's Wife. As I said, the Itina movie is amazing.
Watch her in Baggage Claim. Have you seen Baggage Claim?
Yes, but I need a rewatch. It's been a while.
I mean, it's not that great, but okay, I'll say that I'm not a huge Paula Patton fan.
Okay, you can say. You know what she is in recently, and I know we're kind of past Christmas, but she's in the most recent Dolly Parton Christmas musical, Christmas on a Square.
Is that part of her like
Christmas
that show? Was that part of
Technicolor?
Dolly Parton's like show where every episode's based on a song?
No, but it's a musical and just like its own Netflix Christmas movie. But Jenifer Lewis, I think, gets to really use her voice in that, and I want to watch that kind of post-Christmas.
Oh, Jenifer Lewis is it, not Paula Patton.
No, I'm just saying it's a Jenifer Lewis movie.
Okay.
So check that out. Anyway, 10 out of, literally, I give it 10 Mamoon falafel sandwiches out of 10, honestly.
I give it 5 dark histories of sexual abuse.
Out of
5.
Sad. Okay. So next week, we're actually doing another book with dark histories of sexual abuse, but other awesome things in it. It's not just sexual abuse. It's a gorgeous book by none other than the big movie star, Demi Moore.
Demi Moore, obviously very famous, married to Bruce Willis, married to her work, an amazing mother of 3.
Join me in shaving your head G.I. Jane style for this next episode. Anyone who shaves their head and posts #CelebrityBookClub will give you a free book.
Just any book. Not necessarily the Demi Moore book, but a book that has touched our grubby little paws. And that you can't put a price on.
No, that's a really good sweepstakes, I think.
So get excited, read it or don't, but do sort of refamiliarize yourself with her career at some point, if you want to, or not, because you don't need to, because that's what's so fun about this podcast. She's accessible.
But maybe you want to watch G.I. Jane or Striptease or Brat Pack movie. Brat. St. Elmo's Fire.
I don't want to step on the pod too much, but I will say watch some of her lesser known films, such as Disclosure, but also Striptease. Because there's that iconic scene where she dances to Annie Lennox.
Or watch her and Ashton on SNL. Do whatever the fuck you want to do, okay?
No rules, just right.
Just podcasts. So yeah, catch that next week.
Catch that next week. And in the meantime,
Please leave us a review on iTunes. I literally beg of you.
no, please leave us a
Like,
review.
give those Yelp vibes, you know what I mean? Be
Listen,
sassy.
Can I be desp for 1 second?
Sure.
Just post the story. You know what I mean?
yeah, no, post
At
the
us.
story.
Give me something to do, sweetheart. Honey, I will restart
No
you
content.
in a
We're sitting
heartbeat.
at home. Refresh. No, not that we're not already getting a lot of notifications,
No,
but
no,
like,
no, my notifications are actually out of control. I actually put my phone down because I'm like, this is too much. But
I would love a story. And follow us on Twitter and tweet at us. We'll absolutely interact.
no, we're super interactive.
At
we're
CBC
the pod. We're real. We're like AOC, okay? We
Yeah,
we
no.
want to be in touch with our constituents.
And
We're
just-
modern.
Okay, bye, y'all.
Best.
Celebrity Book Club is presented by Prologue Projects and Headcom. The show is produced by my nemesis Meg Murnane, with editorial support from Andrew Parsons and Leon Nafok. Engineering by Ferris Monchi. Original theme song by Stephen Phillips Horse, May He Rot in Hell. Artwork by Teddy Blanks at Chips NY. Follow us on Twitter at CBC the Pod. Subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Leave us a review and don't forget to tell your friends about us or let us die in peace.
That was a HeadGum podcast.